And I start out with my RCA experience. And so I said, I started an engineer, I became senior engineer. And at that time, in the US, I'm talking 70s now, that every teenager, when they would buy a stereo system, they would build their record collection. There used to be a thing called RCA Record Club and Columbia Record Club. And what that was, that for 1 penny, you get 8 records or, cassettes at that time. CDs were not there yet. And then you agree to buy 8 more during the next 12 months. So you get 8 for 1 penny. So that was the standard. Every teenager, I got my new stereo system, 13, 14, 15-year old, and I became a member of the record club. So computers were just coming on board in the US. And so a consultant approached RCA Record Club saying, we can automate your warehousing operation. Now you when you get an order, you print an order and a warehouse picker walks up and down the warehouse picking up Elvis Presley, Henry Mancini, Chet Atkins. I'm talking these artists when I was Three Dog Night or, even Beatles. And then you pack it up and then you send it in the US mail. So he said, mini computers are coming, so we can automate. And there was the engineering solution. You put a tray on a conveyor and it travels, and every inch you count where the tray is. When it gets in front of a Elvis Presley bin, the signal goes out and it drops a record. And then it automatically goes into a packing. And that was my job, automation, industrial engineering. That's what we, were doing. So I was assigned by the corporate group, which I was part of, to work with Dale Whitehurst and to work with the consultant to make sure the proof of concept that this really works, what the consultant is selling us. So as an engineer, my job was to make sure what they're saying really works. So I would work with them and go to their labs in Connecticut near New York. And so in about 6 months, they made a model prototype and they proved the concept. And then they gave a quote how much it would cost. So, so in the record club, every month you would get a catalog in the mail, about 400 selections, and you can pick out any one. So there would be a section for rock and roll, for classical, for pop, for different country western. And if you don't make a selection, then it's called negative option. Automatically, we will send you the selection of the month. Okay, so that was the thing. So, so they made a proposal, and of course, any big capital request has to go through ROI to the finance people. And so we developed, I worked with the accounting guys, and we developed the ROI and went to New York, the corporate headquarters for RCA. And the finance guy said, no, it doesn't meet the internal rate of return every company has before you can get approval for $2 million or go ahead.
What were the IRR they were looking at in those
Okay.
days?
So at that time, it was, the interest rate, what they are paying, and then at least 5% return. Okay. Because, we don't want to. So let's say if it was at that time 10%, the minimum has to be a 15 hurdle rate. Before 15, you don't even talk, or ideally 20% ROI, because why want to take the risk for this project? So they said no, not approved. So my job was done, my job was to make sure it worked from technical standpoint. And so, but then I'm sitting in my cubicle and, saying, you know, I'm looking at the drawing and I started playing what if, uh, you know, so I asked the guys who are the computer, system guys, I said, give me a history of last 1 year, what people order, because I had a thing in my mind. Because typically at that time used to be a billboard, top 40. Okay. So they would have weekly, these are the top 40 songs being bought and played on the radio station. So people are mostly buying the top 40. So I looked at the history for 1 year, I analyzed, And I found the Pareto principle, which is 80-20, that 80% of the problems in any situation is caused by 20% of the people, or 20% of situation, or the crime, or the 80% of the money is owned by 20% of the people. That's how this came into being in Italy, Pareto. So I said, that's what is happening here. 80% of the orders are for 20% of the selection. These are the top 40 hits. So I looked at that and I said, yeah, instead of building 400 bins, that was the capital cost and the entire system, why don't we just build 80 and reduce the capital, not by 80%, but 60%, and get 80% of the savings. So I went to Dale and I said, Dale, I was looking at it. What if we don't build the whole thing? The goal is to savings and improve the service. We can go faster, fulfillment. And he loved it. And he took me back to New York and we got approved.